Do it better.
I'm sorry.
Confidence.
The tummy ache
No.
was terminal.
I'm sorry. The tummy ache was terminal. Yo, Adrian. Tummy ache was terminal.
I'm sorry, the tummy ache was terminal.
What?
The tummy ache was terminal. What do we do now?
You know, I just hear those stories. They think the guy's dead, and they put him in the they put him in the thingy in the death closet, and then they hear him banging around in there. You know.
Like what they did in the Hangover 2. What? It's a good reference.
Okay, sorry, so...
Rellamuse removes dead bodies in real life. Through a simulation of the likely ways we're going to die, he is going to show us what happens after death.
Don't kiss the dead people, motherfucker.
Too late.
So the doctor usually wouldn't be here.
Bye.
You wouldn't keep the dead body in the room with others, so there wouldn't really be...
Okay, listen, smart guy.
Hi, I'm here on behalf of such and such funeral home. I'm sorry if you're lost. Do you have any questions for me? Is there anything I can do to help you?
Can you, like, check these boxes real quick?
The hospital staff will have already taken care of that. Would you like a few moments to say goodbye?
No, I'm ready now.
If you would please step out of the room while I do this. It's not something most people want to see their family member go through.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Once you have seen someone wrapped up, you can't unsee it. So, once again, that is my warning to you. Wrap them up in sheets, roll it up. Okay. I would pull him over onto the cot, lock everything into place, seatbelt, and put a cover on him. Where I would then pull him out of the room and escort him out of the hospital to my van, which would be waiting out back.
There's a chance that there's some sort of creature, monkey relative that could be perceived as Bigfoot. Maybe, I don't fucking know. I'm not a scientist.
That's all the time.
Open up your eyes, I saw the sign.
I'll send you my playlist. I have a 5 hood. I have a few country songs, but like they're really sad. They're good.
Did you see dead people on a daily basis?
Oh, yeah. That was a given.
How
Definitely
does
a
that
lot of
affect your mental health?
In my case, I don't think it's affected me very much.
When you say removal, is that like you're removing the dead body from the place of death?
It can be the place of death. It could be hospital. I guess hospice is the place of death. It could be like the morgue, crime scene.
Okay.
It just kind of depends on, I guess, how,
so you-
where, and why they died.
So you haven't just seen dead bodies, you've seen like where they died and the situation and everything.
We have a video previously where I go over some stuff I did doing removal. I bear hugged a decomposing body because the cot that I'd had him on broke, so I had to get him back onto it. Oh, are we standing? Oh, shit.
Do you like a cup of water? Joke's on you.
The
I
me
believe in
writing
all
is
of that.
insane. If I ever
Cozy
see
apartment.
this man in real life, I would love to knock his lights out. Drop your head. I'm coming right now. I lost
Drop your
20
head.
pounds in preparation. You don't know how much I work just so I can knock your lights out and destroy your
Oh, here we
liver.
go. This is the place
It's,
I recorded
something.
my old...
He's afraid of me, I know it.
In real life, if someone wanted to watch you remove the body, would you give them a warning?
Yeah, absolutely. Uncommon enough that when people are like, no, I want to see it happen, I do warn them. I'm like, hey, once you see this, it can feel very inhumane. You can't unsee it. I don't recommend it, but if you'd like to stay in the room, I understand. Because it sucks. You're wrapping someone's mom up in a fitted sheet and then yanking them over onto a cot right in front of them and then strapping them in with a seatbelt and covering them with something. You know, like for these people, you'd never forget that image. So I always tell people like, hey, you know, you really probably won't want to see this. There's no pretty way to do it. I'm going to pull her over wrapped up in a sheet, her dead body onto a cot. And I wouldn't say it that plainly, but I make it evident that like what you're going to see is going to affect you more than likely. It's not fun. It's not something you want to watch. But there have been a few cases where people did stay in the room and someone, especially if they were men, and say it was their mother or their sister or their daughter, they would often offer to help, at which point I would tell them that's okay, because I know that in that moment they probably want to have their hands on their daughter in the moment that she's being moved to the cot, just because it means something to them.
Yeah.
I almost start my coffee.
I hate you so much.
Yeah, I think she's
What
dead.
have I done? What have I done? What have I
Oh,
done?
that sucks.
I'm gonna take this clip and edit it into the water.
Why is the murderer still here?
Oh, that's my bad. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Well, if it's a murder, I wouldn't be the first person to show up. Instead, forensics and, of course, the police would show up.
What if it was just like an old person that died in their bed?
We would show up, same practice at the hospital, wrap them up in the sheet, pull them onto a cot, and leave. If there's any family, discuss with them first what's going on, what happened. Usually they want to talk about a few things. I've had some people get really emotional. They kind of want to tell their story. They're like, I remember meeting a family that was like, this man you're about to take was somebody special to us. He was a unique person. He did such and such, and so you could tell they were very, very grief-stricken, and they really cared about the person they had just lost.
Do you clean that, or does someone else have to do that?
Someone else does that, usually the family, or they can pay for a forensics cleaning service to come in, which is usually really expensive.
Person who
Yeah,
lived in my
remember that-
house
that one
last
Sam
died in my
Jackson.
bathroom. I still don't know how it got cleaned up. Would you help carry my dead body out if I died in front of you?
No. I don't get it, man. Like the fist, he just ran in. Oaks the wood I wanted the coffin.
You'll have further discussions with the funeral director where you can decide out everything that you want to do moving forward, whether that's a casketed service, cremation, or burial.
Do you be able to, like, taxidermy her?
We've had decapitations, you would suture the head back onto the neck.
Oh, okay.
If there's been any kind of facial deconstruction, you would do your best to reconstruct the face, which would usually include stitching it back together. A bit of an issue actually, because when people die sitting down, it's a struggle to get them back into any kind of supine position because their body locks up that way.
Yeah, I'd like to have my
Yes.
wife as a statue in my room. You guys do that for me? Oh, why would I have seen
It's like Fight Club.
George?
It's like
You haven't existed until you watched it.
You don't know what a Moscow Mule is?
Vodka, ginger beer, and lime juice.
Like game?
Yeah, I
Like,
got last time.
They go hunting?
Last time I went, I guess I don't know specifically. It's just like obscure meats.
I don't feel so
I want an actual drink now. Fuck.
oh lord.
My best customer is dead!
Serves him right.
Oh god, I'm never gonna financially recover from this! I can hear him dying over and over behind my eyes every time I close them.
They would shut down the premises, escort everybody out as it's now a biohazard location. They would bring in forensics to make sure there's no foul play, because now this involves more than just the individuals who have passed and their family. It now involves the entire establishment. There could be some kind of suit for who knows what negligence on part of the establishment. If you die in a public place, it's almost guaranteed that you will have an autopsy done, even if it's apparent natural causes and it makes perfect sense as to why you died. But the business would also be called into implication.
I
And then
told you it was
cleanup
Lauren's fault.
would not have to be paid for
I
by
didn't
the
do
family.
nothing, okay?
It would more than likely be paid for by the establishment.
So my game crashed, and I made myself a Moscow Mule because I could.
Do you have an alcohol addiction?
Alcohol addiction? No, I made myself a drink at 8 p.m. You fuck.
Go, I'm about to go off on these codes off like a bomb.
Hey, I'm going off at a bomb, man.
Hurts.
That's why they call me Chicken Joe, man. And I'm banging your mom, man.
What's wrong with
And that's all I gotta say, man.
Yeah, Wheezy. Sing it. Let the flow go. Come on. You just gotta like go along with it, right?
Put that in the video so people can see just how terrible she is at ruining the vibe, okay?
Before you ever get to the funeral home, when you're at the place of death, you attach a bracelet with their name, date of birth, date of death, and the funeral home that they'll be taken and processed through on their left leg. If they do not have a left leg, you go to the right leg. If they do not have a right leg, you go to the left arm, so on and so forth. If they have no limbs for you to attach them to, you do what you can, whatever you have to make sure it's on there and it's secure. Because if you lose that tag, that person, in the eyes of the law, is completely unidentified. And so you have to go through a whole bunch of paperwork to get it back right. If they were known to be a cremation, you would put them in a cardboard box. It would also signify to the funeral home staff, this is meant to be a cremation. If they were not, and they were meant to be embalmed, or they were going to go straight to burial, you'll put them in a metal tray, and is meant to be bowled in, so that way any bodily fluids or purge that are leaking do not escape the tray. Not a perfect system, but you do what you can. And at that point, you just stick them in the cooler. You make sure all the paperwork is right, and that's kind of the process, at least when they first get there. Making sure the person you have is the person you should have, and if it's not, oh shit.
Are there more people that are cremated than buried, or like vice versa?
More cremations are taking place, yeah. Burial's too expensive. People can't afford it. There's some independent locations that work to defer these costs and try to also use more green-esque chemicals in the embalming process, sometimes trying to offer foregoing the embalming process altogether because you're getting buried in the ground. Why do you need to be preserved? But that's a debate. And so they're offering cheaper services to try and provide that service to people who, well, should rightfully be able to afford it, instead of charging them out the ass for, well, grief.
It's been months.
They always audit regular people. They audit regular people.
Yeah,
Never forget that.
Jet Johnson, he's the guy who made all the music for the Curious George movie, and it's the best music I've ever heard.
The Curious George movie.
Sorry, enough. Quit talking. He's the guy who made Upside Down. You ever heard that song?
Yeah, I like that song.
He's the guy who made that song.
That's awesome.
Listen to him.
Okay.
All right, well, now you're just saying it like you really don't care.
That's just how I talk!
That's very cool. Wow, sweetheart, name.
I was a preschool teacher for 9 months, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Really?
There will be one 2-year-old who's perfectly behaved, another one who's going around biting people, and it's just like, I don't understand. Like, they're literally little feral demons that like scream and stand on tables and flip chairs. Cause
I would never want to be a preschool teacher.
I hate to be the one to tell you this, but your child is not bussin' for real, for real.
I want popcorn chicken so bad. That sounds so good.
When I was like 5 years old, when you go to the church, you sit down, everybody's gathered around the plastic tables, and they got all the Bibles and the drinks and the snacks, and then the teacher would look you in the face like, look, you don't accept Jesus in your heart right now and love him forever and pray to God every night to be saved. One day, you will hear those loud trumpets, and God himself will come back for his second reincarnation. The angels will come down. Everybody will go to heaven. Those who are left behind will be tortured by giant scorpion, giant antlions for 7 years. You will live in a life that is seemingly like hell. But then after that 7 years, you know, we chill, we cool, we ball.
Amen.
Yeah. I wonder how it's gonna go. Like, what are we gonna talk about? At no point did I think it would end sitting at a bar in a Femboy Hooters, stared at by Peter Griffin.
You ever had a MILF die?
Let's just say you all have 200% hearing, maybe 180 or something. 100% hearing in one ear, 80 whatever in the other. I have 90% hearing left. I could care less what anybody says to me because
like
they won't be able
then?
to say it. Stop talking to me. I can't hear you. Can I?
My best friend is deaf, and we work great together
thank
because
you
I
so
may not
much.
be deaf. I may not be
What's
deaf.
his name? I might know him.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I've had people walk up to me and be like, nice AirPods, douchebag.
That was the one time my dad did a father-daughter thing with me, and it was because he was stuck with me, so he went to Hooters, and
I'm gonna be real, Twin Peaks is better. Twin Peaks is a good one. They show much more titty.
No, hold on, wait.
A lot
We
more,
can't just
lower cut shirts.
And
I've
I
definitely
feel
been to
so-
Hooters with my family before.
I can't even imagine telling my mom I went to Hooters. I think that she would
Really?
actually
Wait,
fucking...
we can't just gloss over that.
Going to a Hooters would be considered incredibly trashy.
Are you serious?
The only father-daughter interaction they had.
Yeah, Hooters is just a restaurant to my family.
See, but it's when someone says that, then it just baits the first.
Jesus is probably hot as fuck. He was probably like swole AF.
I can't stand you people sometimes.